Hey viewers, my name's Kara. This is my personal channel, CuteWitch772. I just finished recording a video. If you didn't see it, it'll be the previous video on this channel, which is why I'm wearing the same thing and my hair is in the same thing. Actually, I've had my hair like this for probably literally 4 days because it looks so cute. It's a little less puffy than it was, but I just liked it and it's been really convenient. So anyway, but I just finished recording a video where I taught a song from Circle Round, the only Samhain song that's in the book, and I played my flute a little bit. So if you want to watch that and you haven't yet, it's the previous video on this channel. I'll probably link it at the end of the video over here for you. I usually link related videos or my most recent video, depending on what it is. Sometimes I use the dynamic feature that lets it choose what's best for you based on your search algorithms using technology and internet creepiness. So yeah, watch that if you haven't. This video is gonna be a little bit different. So this is the topic video that I alluded to in that video. I said I had a topic in mind that I wanted to talk about that I was originally gonna post on the 30th, which is the day that I'm recording these, but I decided that the song would be a little more fun to share on Samhain, so I put that up there first, and then you'll be seeing this one into November. So welcome to November. I hope you had a blessed Samhain and a merry Beltane this past week, should be from the time you see this. So the topic that I wanted to talk about, that I've been thinking of for a little bit, whatever I end up putting in the title will probably have given it away. I want to talk about the term and the idea, more the idea, of sacrifice in a spiritual sense and what that means for a modern pagan or a modern witch. And as always, I'm speaking from my personal experience, so it might be totally different for you because we're following different paths. So if you want to chime in and let everyone know your thoughts in the comments, that would be awesome. These are just some of my thoughts. So the word sacrifice, usually I look up a definition of a word before I start talking about it, but in this case, I didn't. And I'm really going to just focus on kind of the connotations of the word and what do we think of when we hear these terms. And actually one of the tentative titles that I've already thought of, which I may or may not end up using, I don't know, because that's in the future from when I'm recording this, was talking about sacrifice and offerings, because those are somewhat related in a modern pagan practice, at least in mine and in my experience. So firstly, the word sacrifice. When we think of sacrifice, we might think of the everyday usage of the word, where people will say, sometimes you have to make sacrifices in order to get what you want. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your time. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your money. People will say we all make sacrifices, and that usually means you had to do without something that you wanted. That you can't always get what you want. We all have to make sacrifices, right? So that's kind of an everyday, mundane usage of the term. It's not something that when someone says something like that we necessarily think about it a lot. It's just a turn of phrase at this point. Now, on the other side of the coin, when somebody says the word sacrifice and it's specifically in relation to religion or witchcraft or paganism, a lot of people will think ritual sacrifice, animal sacrifice or human sacrifice. What they're thinking of is killing a living, sentient being on top of an altar. And that was a form of sacrifice. But what people think of it as now, especially around Halloween time when I'm recording this, so many movies and TV shows will talk about these people, I literally had someone this past week who found out that I have a black cat warned me not to let her outside during October, which like is a thing. Like you're not allowed, in my area at least, you're not allowed to adopt any black coated animals from shelters in the month of October because they're afraid of people adopting them just to perform some kind of sacrifice on Halloween to like scare people. I don't know. Obviously, we know that's not us. We're not actually doing that. We love our animals. That's not something, that really applies to us, but that is what people think. And so I want to talk about just like why. All right, it's hard to say. I was going to say why that was a thing, but like I wasn't alive then, maybe. I don't know. Maybe one of my previous lifetimes was there, but I don't remember that, so I can't really tell you like, oh, here's why it happened. But here's the idea of that, right? So what people think of now is just like you're deranged and so you're killing things, and you're, offering them to the devil or something like that. That's what people think it means. But my understanding of sacrifice and the reason that animals were sacrificed was that a sacrifice, especially a sacrifice to the gods, another word for this would be an offering to the gods, but a sacrifice that you made as an offering to the gods, it was not supposed to be just some stuff you have lying around, right? It's not supposed to be the worst thing you have. That would be offensive. It's supposed to be the best thing, the thing that you really need, that you would really be hurting without. And so, if you've prayed to the gods to make your crops grow well, and you've prayed to the gods to make your cows and your sheep fat and your horses strong, and they have granted that to you, and now you have a bunch of fat sheep and you have a good crop, often either the first of the crop harvested would be an offering, or there's probably other ways that was accomplished. That's one that I've heard of, was that the ceremonial first cutting of the first harvest would be an offering to the gods, so that would not be something that you get to eat. That was an immediate thank you for helping this happen. But also then you would pick your best sheep or your best goat or whatever, the best one, the fattest one, the one that would have fed your family the best, the one that would have fetched the best price at market. You take the best of what you have and sacrifice it to the gods. And it was not because raw killing, it was because the gods helped you get what you have. And in order to say thank you, you are giving them the best of what you have. And it would have been an affront to the gods and still today, so I'm saying this as in the past tense, but we're going to be connecting this to the modern day. Foreshadowing. But so it would have been an affront to point out the best one and be like, yeah, I really want to keep that for myself, so that's just mine. And then you take like the second best one and you offer that one to the gods. Like, they know what you did. Or even if you're like, I don't know, I really need this one, I'm going to sell this one at market, and we really need this one to eat, and I'm going to let my oldest son take this one to start his own thing, and then, so like the fourth best, that'll be the sacrifice. No, that's not how it worked. That's not what it was. It was supposed to be the best of what you had and the thing that you really needed. So if you had, I don't know, okay, I was not a hunter-gatherer, I was not, maybe, I don't know. In this lifetime, I was not. So I don't really know how it works. But let's just say, for example, if you had one goat left, okay, you had one goat, it's been a really bad winter, and your goat's not providing milk anymore, so you get no food, no cheese, no milk, whatever, then maybe the only thing you have to sacrifice is that, And at that point, you're saying, it might not be great, but it's the best I have. And that means something, because to get rid of that thing is to get rid of your only physical tether to hope, Like, it may not be producing milk right now, or whatever. It might not be that healthy right now, so it's not going to fetch you any good price if you were to happen to, a traveling person comes by that you want to try to sell it to, even if that were to happen, it wouldn't get you a very good price, whatever, but it's what you have. And there's always the hope that, like, well, it might not be the best, but it's something, we have it, maybe someone will come along who wants to buy it, and then we'll be okay. Maybe someone will come along and trade us some food for it. Maybe it'll start milking again, you have that hope at least. But if you get rid of that thing, if you sacrifice it, then you're saying, okay, like, I have nothing. I have no out. I am entrusting it all to the gods. And that, in its own way, that is the thing that is powerful. So I know I probably butchered history. No pun intended. But I think you get the idea of what I was trying to say there. So bringing that into the modern day, we don't typically sacrifice animals anymore. Some of us don't even eat animals or animal products. So we really don't do any of that. There's no animal lives being sacrificed for our gods. So what do we do? What is the sacrifice of the modern day? Well, there are offerings, right? There are many things that we can offer. And a sacrifice is an offering. But there are many things that we can offer that are not a sacrifice. So maybe sometimes to the gods or to the universe, those things don't mean as much as if it were something that we were really sacrificing. So, for example, offerings can be anything from flowers on the altar, fruit on the altar. It could be a song, it could be a dance, it could be a poem, it could be time, energy, spent in devotion to the gods. It could be anything. There's so many things that can be an offering. Sometimes those same things can truly be a sacrifice. If you are starving and you have one apple and that's the only thing you have to eat, and you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, then offering that apple is a sacrifice. If you're just living your day-to-day life and you go to the grocery store and you buy a pound of apples and you bring them home and you find the best and the shiniest one and you put it on your altar and you offer it to the gods, it's still a beautiful offering. It's not necessarily a sacrifice. You're not really sacrificing much there. You have a bunch more apples. And before anyone gets any weird ideas, I'm not saying that that kind of offering is bad. I do that. I'm just getting at thinking about the difference between sacrifice and other types of offerings. So what are the things that in today's modern world would be a sacrifice for us to give up? If you're really busy, if you have an extremely packed schedule and every minute of your day is accounted for, then sacrificing some of your time for devotion for the gods might be a hefty sacrifice. That might be a really meaningful sacrifice to you because you actually are devoting time that you need elsewhere to the gods, to the service of the gods, the universe, or whatever it may be, right? So it depends on who you are. Again, if you're starving and hungry, then that simple meal, whatever it may be, is a sacrifice for you? There's so many things, right? So a lot of the time today in just modern society in the United States, I think a lot of us, I've talked to several people about this over the years, one of the biggest things that we think of in general life as a sacrifice is money, because that's something that a lot of us feel that we don't have enough of, that we are constantly having to give away to pay bills and things like that. So money could be a very big sacrifice to you. And that's a huge thing, number one, as far as our lives go. But then how do you offer that to the gods? So some people, you can leave change on an altar, and then basically never remove it. Because the idea is if you offer it to the gods, it is no longer for you. You're not supposed to ever touch that again. If you offer food on an altar, it's for the gods, or it's for the fae, or it's for your familiar spirit, or it's for your guide, whomever or whatever you are making that offering to, it's theirs. It's not yours anymore. So you are not supposed to then go, and when the circle is open and as you're cleaning up, you don't bite into that apple. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to you anymore. You've offered it up. And so how do you do that with money? You would have to never touch it again. It should never belong to you again. So I don't know, you can bury it, you can throw it into a lake, but is that very good? Is that good for the environment? Is that good for the economy? I don't know. There's so many things to think about. But also, what do the gods need with our money? What do they need our money for? It doesn't mean anything to them. I mean, they don't need our apples either, but the spirit of that is very different, I think, than offering coins or paper money. And again, depending on who or what you are making the offering to, if you're offering an apple to a horse spirit, then the expectation is that they are consuming the spirit of that apple, that it is something that they would actually consume, because a horse would eat an apple or a carrot, whatever, something like that. So yeah, the expectation is that they are consuming the energy of that offering, and then the physical form left over on this plane of existence is essentially an empty vessel now. Its essence and its spirit has been consumed by whomever or whatever the offering was to, and so then you are to just dispose of it, compost it, use it to grow more beautiful things to offer and then eat. Not the same things, but the other things that you harvest. So, yeah. But there are different ways we can sacrifice our money. So you might want to donate money. You might want to use it to, I don't know, leave ideas in the comments, because right now I'm kind of running out of steam as far as specific examples. I've been thinking about this for days, and now I'm just there's so many thoughts. I can't say them all, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So there are ways that we can sacrifice our money that, maybe it's something that you wouldn't normally do, but it's something in service of the gods. So maybe it's, I don't know, taking a workshop, taking a class that's aimed at working toward a deity in specific. Would they consider that an offering? I don't know. I'd have to, that's a brand new idea that just kind of popped into my head, and I said, would that really count? Because that would be it's not really a sacrifice, because you're also learning something. You're really gaining something from it as well. And if it is I have a notebook in front of me with a raven on it, so I'll just say Odin. I just thought of Odin. So let's say, for example, you are devoted to the god Odin, and you take a workshop that is devoted to stuff about Odin, And so you spend money to go to this thing. Is that really a sacrifice? Because you are then learning more about the deity, but at the same time, you're spending more time with them as well. So maybe it is a sacrifice. I don't know. You'd have to ask Odin, right? Not me. I don't know. You would have to ask them what they consider. And even as far as offerings go, you have to you can start with what people have written on the internet and in books as to what the appropriate offerings are for different deities and different spirits, guides, things like that. You know, like the example I used earlier for a horse spirit, if you are communing with the energy of horse, then you would want to offer it food items that a horse would actually eat. You know, don't give it things that would be poisonous to a horse. That would be awful, you know. So that's a pretty easy way to go about that. But as far as the gods, you know, you could start with things that, again, people have already said works for them, things that research have shown works for them or that were historically offered to them. But then you can also ask them. You can spend some time asking them. And I've done that before when it's a deity that I don't know much about yet, and in the spur of the moment I get a flash of inspiration saying you need to pray to this god right now, or goddess, you know, this deity. You need to make an offering to this deity right now. And I'm like, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what their offerings are. So I'm just like, okay. And then you pray to them and you're like, what can I give you? What do you want? What do you want from me? And I literally did that once, and I was like in a snowstorm and I was scared for my life. I recently talked about this in a Pagan perspective video, how it can be dangerous driving on the roads here in the winter. And so I get a lot of driving anxiety in the winter. And that's also because I've done a lot of spinning off roads into ditches and having to get myself out in the middle of the night and trudging through feet of snow. So my nervousness is founded in those ways. But I remember there was a specific time that I was like driving in a snowstorm and I had already spun out like 3 times on the road and I was nowhere near help, and I just like couldn't stop moving because then I would be stuck. And so I was like, all right, I need help. Someone came to me and I was like, okay, thank you. Yes, I'm gonna pray to you. I'm gonna sing to you. I'm gonna like help me get through this. And then afterwards I was like, thank you so much. You helped me. I want to give you an offering. What do you want? And literally the answer kind of flashed into my head, and it happened to be something that was already in the car with me. So in that instance, I do feel that it was a personal connection where they were like, listen, I know you have this, so give me that. I want that. And I immediately went out and threw it into the snow. So sometimes that's how it works. Was that a sacrifice for me? I don't remember at the time, because I don't remember if I had more of that thing or what the situation was. But it was a situation where it was like, this is what I want, gimme. And I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your help, you know. And yeah, offerings, but also sacrifices. And how are they the same and how are they different? And what other things in our lives can be sacrifices? I feel like I've done a lot of sacrificing lately, which I don't want to talk about in depth, but I will probably talk about more later. I just want to give it some more time to kind of come through fully. But I feel like, and I didn't notice this actually until yesterday, which is why I decided I wanted to do this video. I just felt like there's a lot of stuff that I really wanted within the past couple of months. A lot of stuff that I really wanted to do, things that I wanted to have time for, and just so much of my time has been taken from me. So much of my energy has been taken from me. So many opportunities, things I wanted to do, places I wanted to go, people I wanted to see have been taken from me because of situations beyond my control. And so at the same time, I'm like, I know I can't do anything about it. You just have to ride the wave, but like it sucks. And I'm like, God, I haven't gotten to do any of this stuff. Like, what's happening? Nothing is going the way that I thought it would, the way that I wanted it to. I haven't gotten to do this. I didn't get to go here. I didn't get to go here. All of this stuff. And then it was my partner who said, we've been making a lot of sacrifices, but it's going to be worth it. And they were saying it, flashback to the beginning of this video, they were kind of saying it in that everyday kind of sense of, you know, we all make sacrifices. There are things that we have to sacrifice in order for other things to happen. Compromises that have to occur for people to come together sometimes, you know, whatever. But I had been already thinking about this offerings and sacrifices of a spiritual nature, and what does that really mean? What is it that the gods and the universe really need and want from us in that form? And it's not what people in horror movies are talking about necessarily, right? It's not that. So when my partner said, we've been making a lot of sacrifices, that really stuck in my head as like, it's Samhain, girl. Like, you haven't had the time or the mental space to formally decide on a sacrifice as an offering, and the universe has taken it from you. The universe decided what it was that it was going to take as its sacrifice, and it has done so. And I feel like it's been doing that in various forms for a lot of us. Some people more than others. And I think there are also some things that on the surface may look like that's what happened, that we can not say that that is truly what has happened. So I cannot claim to know what it is for other people, but that is something that has felt like the case for me recently. And yeah, I need to end this video now because it's almost half an hour long, but also because I'm getting a lot of stuff kind of coming at me now that I'm voicing more of these ideas out loud. You all know me by now, if you've been here at all, that I'm a very verbal processor, and so a lot of the time, if I've been thinking about something for days and then I decide to do a video about it to get my thoughts out there, share them with you, ask you for your thoughts, just the process of doing it brings more information and more ideas to me. And that's definitely what's happening right now. So I will leave you with that. Just spend some time, if you didn't this past Samhain, maybe now between Samhain and winter solstice in this darkening time in the northern hemisphere, take some time to think about what spiritual sacrifice means to you and what it means to us as a modern community of people. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.